I don't know how Bleach keeps consistently making Aizen the kind of villain that just feels smart. The kind of fictional character that constantly makes the reader, or at least this reader, feel a little dumb, because it always feels like you can't predict what he's going to do next. This man is just a drawing on a page, giving that smug look right at me, knowing that he's going to outsmart me, and he keeps doing it. Aizen got me real good the first time, and here, he got me again. I honestly don't know if I'll ever be able to figure him out, but it's definitely not right now, because Sosuke Aizen has once again duped me, and duped a lot of characters too. So let's talk about what feels like the real beginning of the war we've been waiting for. We've known for a while now that Aizen's plan is to create an Okin, which is like a key to get to the Soul King, and he's planning on maybe overthrowing the Soul King, but the way to create the key is he has to destroy Karakura Town. The stakes of that have been put in place for a while, but up until now we're kind of on the back burner narrative-wise, while the priority for our characters has been to save Orihime. And it turns out that that shift in focus, that distraction, was not only something Kubo intentionally set up for the readers, but that Aizen meant to happen as well. He wanted Orihime to seem like the big thing we needed to be worried about. He meant for the heroes to focus their efforts on rescuing her while we were just taken along for the ride. Because while Aizen was interested in Orihime's abilities, he really used her as bait to help him maneuver his pieces into place, to lure some of his enemies to Agamotto, in order to trap them. It wasn't just Ichigo that went after all. Aizen hoped for the exact kind of hype that we got with some of the captains showing up, putting them in a place that would be out of his way, sealing them away in another dimension while he invaded the living world. He lays it out pretty well. When he, Gin, and Tozen defected like the traitors that they are, the 13 captains lost 3 of their members right then, and now he's trapped another 4 of them in Agamotto, so he's essentially cut the Soul Society captain's power down by half as he finally makes his move into Karakura Town. That's not good. That's really, really bad, and also really smart on his part. Not to mention, whatever threat Ichigo and his friends pose is also negated too by trapping them as well. It's one hell of an effective strategy if you want to cripple your enemies right before the fight even starts. Like, Aizen knew it was going to go this way. He planned this all out. He knew what the reaction would be once he took Orihime. It's just genius. He's really proven himself to be super effective as a villain and as a threat to all these characters. However, that's not to say that Soul Society hasn't been making preparations of their own, and I loved it. I'm not exactly sure how the logistics of Soul Reaper magic and experiments work, but essentially, they created a fake replica of Karakura Town in the real one's place for when Aizen showed up, and put all of the citizens safely in hibernation with the real city that's now tucked away in Soul Society. For how, callous and kind of heartless the Soul Society can be toward the people of the living world, I appreciated that they put in some real effort to protect potential collateral damage. They went out of their way to make sure mortal lives weren't taken, and yes, part of that is so the Okin can't be created, but it just feels like maybe they're caring a little bit more. And I know that yes, they care, they protect people from hollows, but it just, sometimes you don't get that feeling. They look down on humans, you know? I don't know, I just really appreciated all of this. Plus, I liked that the 2 kind of scientists on the Soul Reaper side both made this possible by handling different parts of it. Whatever relationship Urahara and the Soul Society have is interesting, and something that we haven't really learned much about. We know that he's a former captain, and he's exiled on Earth, but we don't really know much about the specifics of why he's there. We do know that he helped orchestrate the security breach they had during the Soul Society arc, but it seems like they're at least on good enough terms to want to work together against Aizen. And it's just cool to see the Soul Society's remaining forces come out all together into the living world to try to defend it from Aizen. It's just cool to see them really protecting people. I love that. But Aizen isn't fooled by the fake town because of course he's not. He's too smart for this nonsense. He gives it one look and he knows, but he figures this is an opportunity to eliminate their obstacles, and then they can just go create the Oaken after. And sure, Aizen has lost some of his forces during the Hueco Mundo fights, but the losses are on the lower half of the Espada ranks. His top Espada are still around, and he brings them with him to this fight. We know from process of elimination that these three are the top 3 Espada, but have yet to get confirmation about their respective numbers. But we know that this trio are potentially more powerful than any Espada we've seen so far, including Ukiura, who I remind you, beat Ichigo in one shot. These guys are going to be tough, and we only have half of our heroes' forces, and not even our main characters, here to try to fight them. So I'm so excited for whenever these characters fight, and to see who's going to be able to take them on. And I like that Kubo has set it up so the captains we have here are generally the ones we've seen less of. Toshiro is really the only exception, but the others haven't been featured much since the Soul Society arc, and I'm excited to see more of them in action. So we're set up for a battle with the remainder of the Soul Reaper captains and their lieutenants against the rogue Soul Reapers and the remaining Espada. The hype is real. I'm super excited for this. So I'm just going to talk about my dream matchups that I want to see from this conflict. Okay, first off, I think the most obvious ones are the 3 traitors against the people that were closest to them back before the betrayal. I talked a bit about this before, but Kubo kind of made sure that there were characters left behind that were very close with the people that turned their backs on the Soul Society. So I want to see Rangiku versus Gin, so I can learn more about their apparent intimacy, the reveal that there might have been something romantic between them, or at least very emotional, caught me off guard way back, so I'd like to learn more about that, and how she could ever fall for the smarmy Snake Man. Komamura versus Tozen should be a big one too. I love what little we saw of their past. It was very sweet and heartwarming, only for Tozen to ruin it all and make the puppy man sad. Then, I don't know if Momo is in the best physical or especially mental shape to take on the man that stabbed her, so as a proxy, and the next best thing, I want to see her best buddy, Captain Toshiro Hitsugaya, try to get some hits in on Aizen. He got one-shotted last time, and I'm sure he won't win, but I still want to see him try. I do think that Aizen being the big bad means that Ichigo and him will eventually throw down, of course, but I do want to see Toshiro get a little bit of payback for both Momo and for also how quickly he got beaten by Aizen way back. So these fights between the traitors and the people closest to them, these fights kind of need to happen in some form in my eyes. There's just too much potential drama to mine for it not to happen. Now, it's a bit harder with the other fights. We haven't seen enough about these Espada to know if there are any grudges or personal histories, so I'm just gonna go with vibes. You guys know how this goes with me. If we just look at my Espada number guesses, I've been pretty wrong, but I got their general personalities decently enough. How does that translate to fight predictions? I don't know. We'll see, but it's just going to be about vibes and my own feelings and predictions. I am not a fortune teller. I'm not a psychic. You guys know how wrong I've been in the past. Just don't laugh too hard if I get them completely wrong, but here are my predictions. Here we go. I've been saying since the first time I saw him that the mustached older Espada with the crown, whose name was revealed to be Baragon? I'm gonna say Baragon. I've said that he is my guess for being the number 1 Espada, and I'm sticking to that. I've even talked about maybe he and the Soul Society's resident senior citizen might have some history as 2 opposing forces, so with that in mind, maybe Yamamoto is gonna fight Baragon. That could be really cool, I don't know, I just like to picture it. It feels mythic, like 2 Greek gods colliding. But yeah, this guy is still my bet for being the first ranked, and I'm sticking to that until the end. If Yamamoto doesn't end up fighting him, then I think there's a high chance that Yamamoto could fight Aizen instead, since he kind of represents and personifies the establishment that Aizen is trying to destroy. but I'd love to see the badass geezers throw down. As for Stark, I could honestly see him going up against Shunsui because of vibes. From what little we've seen of both of them, they both seem very chill, relaxed, and like maybe it won't even be a fight. Maybe it'll be a casual conversation that ends with them as friends and drinking buddies, I don't know. They share similar demeanors, so I could see Kubo leaning into that to pit them against each other. And of these three top-ranked Espada, Stark is the one that's given the clearest picture of his personality so far, despite also not being shown much. Also of note is both of them seem to have like a lieutenant that keeps them in line, so maybe their number twos will fight. I don't know. I could see that. Now the question is, will Shunsui have Ukitake helping him? Maybe. We've seen them team up against an opponent before. Then there's the only current female Espada, Harabel? Harabel? I'm gonna say Harabel. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could see her going up against Soifon, because we haven't seen much of Soifon since her fight with Yorichi, so she's kind of due for another good fight, and she's here. She's one of my least favorite captains so far. I think I talked a bit about that in my ranking of the captains, but I'd love an opportunity to see more of her and maybe root for her. That might help. Outside of that, there really isn't enough to go off of to really justify this choice. So it's just, like I said, it's vibes. I'm spitballing. I could see Soifon fighting Harabel. Just from a visual standpoint, I could see it. But who knows, maybe Ukitake will fight Harabel. I don't know. It could be 2-on-1s. It could be groups of lieutenants versus them. Like I said, this is all guessing. We could be way off base. But it is worth noting that these Espada brought their own underlings too, so maybe we'll see some lieutenants battling them. I could see that. If so, bring back my boy Ikaku and have him show off that Bankai to everyone finally. As much as he doesn't want to, put him in a situation where he has to. This could be a really good opportunity to see more of the lieutenants that we haven't seen much of so far. In my lieutenant ranking video I did after the Soul Society arc, I talked about how it was a challenge to rank so many of these lieutenants based on so little. All I had was first impressions of like looking at them or like a few actions. I'd love to see more of them get fleshed out, or at least show off some cool moves. Give it to me, Kubo. Give these people some moments to shine. It's the perfect chance to do that. His name is escaping me right now. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Oh god, what is it? Does it start with an I? The one who can like make people heavier. He got kind of fooled by his own captain when Gin was his captain. I want to see him maybe fight Gin as well, just as a bonus. Him and Rengiku can team up on Gin together. What is that guy's name? Starts with an I. It's on the screen. I'd like to see him join in fighting Gin. Anyway, while the invasion is happening, our trash man Ukiura is left in charge of Wako Mundo. I love this. It seems fitting considering how much time he's already spent with Orihime and how trusted he is by Aizen. Plus, we need to see him and Ichigo face off again after what happened last time. He'll be a big obstacle, but I can't wait to see Ichigo inevitably overcome him somehow. Or he's just gonna get punched in the chest and like die again. But no, he's gonna figure it out. But also, where's Yami in all of this? He's been MIA like the whole arc after being introduced as like one of the first Espada we met. I'm not really complaining because I'm not his biggest fan, but I'm also just wondering where the hell he went. He's the largest Espada, like physically, and yet he's the toughest to find. He's this massive dude, I don't know where he is. Also, where's the weird Arankar kid, Wonderwise? It felt like he was being specifically set up for something, but we've yet to see much of him at all. Based on the Arankars we've seen that are not with Aizen, these guys are still in Wako Mundo, probably waiting in the palace with Ukiura. So maybe now that they're stuck here together, I'll get my fight between Unohana and the janitors. And back in the living world, I'm waiting for certain characters to join, because we gotta get Isshin in on this, right? Dude's gotta come help and reveal himself. That's what I need. Or maybe he comes and helps with this while Ichigo's gone and Ichigo never even sees him fight? That could be fun, just to keep leaving Ichigo in the dark about the truth for a while. But I want to see him. Isshin's gotta show up and help, right? We've also still got Urahara, Yoriichi, their employees, the Visored maybe, as well as some of Ichigo's classmates if they've been honing their spiritual energy like I hope they have, though it's probably only been like a day or two in the story since we last saw them, so I highly doubt Tatsuki is ready for fighting. And then of course, the world's most powerful spiritualist, Don Kanonji, is gonna show up and turn the tide of the battle. That's gonna happen. I don't know, this could be massive, depending on how things go. We've been building up to this battle for a while, and I can't wait to see it play out. But I'm going to have to wait a little bit, I guess, because we're about ready to do battle, and I turn to the next page, to the next chapter, only to find a flashback waiting for me, and it seems like it's going to be a big one, so we'll probably chat about that next time. If Kubo is putting something like this right here, right now, right as the action's about to start, then it's gotta be important. It's gotta be. So, for now, we're waiting for First Blood to be drawn and to see who'll come out on top of this battle. Who's gonna come out of this alive? I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Let's get ready to see a big fight. Thank you all so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time, as if this flashback is significant enough, we'll go back in time and talk about it. Or we'll get back to the fight. Either way, see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.